So hello everyone and welcome to yet another AwareNow Unplugged. And we are coming live, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from LA in the United States of America. You will see that another British Rose we have today. And you will also recognize this lady because she has graced the cover of AwareNow when it was the suicide awareness campaign, of which Isabella is an ambassador for. So I'm just going to set the scene and I'm going to let this rock star take over. So Isabella, oh my goodness me, talent extraordinaire. First of all, I'm just going to talk about the films which this lovely lady has made. There's one called the Secret Society of Second Born Royals, which I'm going to watch, and that looks awesome. Sand Angels and Unseen, which we've referred to before, fantastic. And this is what I suspected, but that noise, that song you hear and that voice is the wonderful Isabella, an extraordinary talent as actress, singer, writer, producer, and the other half of Mother-Daughter Entertainments.
Entertainment, yeah.
And I knew went Enterprise. Entertainments is better. It's not the final frontier.
Exactly.
So welcome, Isabella, to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me, first of all. I'm doing very, very well today. I mean, the weather's not great, but I'm used to it from England.
yeah. One thing was Brits are very good at is dealing with the weather and talking about it. Talking about the weather is so much better than anything else. So I've kind of set the scene, Isabella. Tell us a little bit more about you, and then we will jump into the Unplugged.
Yeah, so about me. Let me think, where should I start? Well, sort of the main thing I'm known for, obviously, is acting and being in entertainment. And I'm a director of development at Latigo Films at the moment. And so I'm working hard on about 8 projects, I think, right now we're developing. So it's intense, it's a lot. On top of that, I'm producing a lot as well, and then I've got my music as well that's in there too. I think we were just talking beforehand, and I have a song that'll be coming out in January. Fingers crossed for New Year's Day, but we'll see if that actually happens with the way the world is going and the rate that music's being released. But that's my goal. And then I have another single that should be following that shortly after, which is a completely different vein to the first one. It's a bit more melancholy, but it's a piano piece and it's beautiful, if I do say so myself, nonetheless. So that's me with music and entertainment. And then on the front of just everything else about me, I am, other than not being average, I'd say I'm an average 19-year-old. I'm in online college right now. I have a job. I mean, it's despite the fact that there's some major differences about me, I mean, I think I'm still living life and pushing my way through this world just like any other 19-year-old is. So I'm doing online school as well, just like most people my age. And then I'm obviously working with Awareness Ties to raise more awareness and break the stigma around suicide awareness.
I must admit, if I compared my 19-year-old self to you, you're streets ahead of me. I'm sorry, but there's nothing average about what you're doing. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I can't wait to actually dive in and find a little bit more. So now we're going to go unplugged.
I like
We're going to bring up the mystery question round and enter the prop.
I love it.
You see, look, my lovely assistant, myself. And so now we're going to pick some magic numbers. And these are going to give you. There we go. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go number here, and I've got a random set of questions.
Oh, I love it.
So this is you completely unplugged. Here we go. Perfect. So we've got number 16.
Okay.
What is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you?
See, I find that one tough because I don't get embarrassed very easily. I know the most recent thing that happened was actually this morning. I was leaving a doctor's appointment and I was in the car with my mum, And we were driving out, and the ticket attendant at the car park said, I like your sweater. And my mum and I both looked up and said, oh, thank you. And I realized she was not talking to me. She was in fact talking to my mother. That's the kind of thing that embarrasses me. It's just sort of, oh, why did I do that? That's the most recent thing. But I don't know if I have any huge, I honestly, I think I'm so comfortable in myself now, which has taken me a long time to get here. I don't get embarrassed very easily. I think it's quite hard to, my cousins try as they might, they do, but it doesn't work.
Even-tempered, level head. I love it. But
yeah,
I've done that as well. You're like, oh, thank you, not me.
Yeah.
So
it's like you wave and they're not talking. Yeah.
That's right. Pretend you know them. Pretend you know them. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, look at it. We've got number 19. You're
nice. Good age.
I tell you. Name one or more items on your bucket list.
To travel around Europe now. I did it when I was younger, but I'd like to do it at this age. What else? I want to get my pilot's license. I'm training for that, so I want to actually get my license for it.
Nice.
Bucket list. I really want to visit the Great Wall of China. Really want to. I've done Machu Picchu, and I feel like some of the other wonders of the world, I've covered a few of them. I think I'm going through the list in my head, but I really want to do the Great Wall. I've never actually been to Asia, and so I would love to do that. That's a big thing on my bucket list, I'd say, as a whole, is visit Asia.
That's awesome. I love it. Travel, lots of travel. And
yes,
when you see other cultures, and I mean, it's an awareness thing, but it just put everything just seems to link together effortlessly, doesn't it? And it's like, oh, well, and the customs and everything. I love it. I love it. Yeah. You get me all nostalgic here. No, number 26. Let's see, number 26. If you could be a circus performer, which act would you be?
I would do the aerial silks or trapeze, because actually that's one of the sports I do and I love it, and I would love to do that as an actual thing and be a performer for it. So I would probably call the aerial silks it's like calling shotgun. I'd be like, I want to do it, it's me. I would do the trapeze and the aerial acts.
See, that could go on your bucket list.
Yes.
And your pilot's license is going to help.
Exactly.
Beautiful synergy going on here. Yeah, beautiful synergy. All for you. It's all you, not me. All you. Number 60.
Ooh, okay.
Oh no, you're gonna like this. What celebrity impression can you do? And can you do it now?
Oh, hang on. I have to think. I used to be able to do Mr. Bean really well, but that was when my voice was a bit higher. Let me think. Oh, you're testing me now. Celebrity impression. Okay, I've suddenly forgotten every single celebrity ever.
Try Mr. Bean, because that's going to be fun. He's a Brit as well.
Bean. Bean. That's literally all he says, so it's pretty simple. Bean. Yeah. Bean. There you go. That's my Mr. Bean impression. Bean. Short,
sweet, no confusion about what you're doing.
Exactly, you know exactly who it is.
It's very easy. It's like saying, I'll be back. Well, okay.
Exactly.
Signature lines. Number 11. How would you like to be remembered?
I'd like to be remembered as, well, someone that always gave good advice. I think that's a really fun memory to leave behind. I'd like to be remembered as someone that gave good hugs.
Yeah.
And someone that was, well, okay, there's two more things on this one. The next one is more sincere and the last one's just for fun. But I would like to be remembered as someone that was always there for my friends and people who needed me. I like to think of myself as someone that is there for anyone, whether I always say to people, look, even if we're in a disagreement or there's something that we don't agree on, I'm always here regardless. That's never going to change. And then I would like to be remembered as someone with really good skin. I take pride in my skin, and just to be remembered as that would be very, or nice eyebrows. I also like my eyebrows. So, you know, one of those two.
I tell you that there's a whole host of questions you just answered there. It's wonderful. Exactly. I love it. Right, let's see if I can find one which you didn't do. This is the last one, unfortunately, but we'll play this afterwards. Don't worry. Number 32. Now, I know you've had this question before. So if you were a superhero, what powers would you have?
Let's see if it's changed. Let me have a think. I mean, I'd love to be able to control the weather.
That's being a Brit again.
That would be nice. I'd probably say, I think I'll stick with my teleportation. I love traveling, and it's a hassle that flights take so long to get anywhere that I really want to go. I mean, the flight to Australia is just a killer. So I want to go back there, but it takes 2 days. So I would quite like to have teleportation, and I could just blink and I'd be there.
No, I think that's a very good, and you know, all the other stuff surrounding traveling would then just disappear as well, which would be good. Exactly. No queues, no lost baggage. How good that? No lost baggage.
Yes.
Yes. My goodness. Right, totally. You heard it here first here, teleportation.
Yes.
That's where it's at. So exactly. I'm going to give you a very hearty well done on that one. That was a top class answering there. Thank you. I think we got really into your comfort zone there, so that's good.
Hey.
Let's now talk about awareness ties. I always love this question. How did you find awareness ties? How did that work that you came to the family?
Well, I initially became part of Awareness Ties because I think my mum met Ali and Jack first. So she met Ali and Jack. It's funny, but now you make me think about this. It's been a minute, and it's funny because I hadn't realized that it had been so long. But yes, my mum met Ali and Jack, and after their conversations regarding unseen and that whole world, as it were, I was chatting to Ali about my mum in the movie, and we spoke about suicide awareness. And unfortunately, there's been quite a few people in my life that have taken their own lives. And I am someone that is very aware of mental health, and I'm a big advocate for mental health awareness. And that obviously comes in and ties in with suicide awareness. And so I wanted to be the person that's saying, it's not just about saying, hey, suicide happens, because we know that. It's about helping to prevent it, helping to let people know that they're not alone, because it's not just about raising awareness and telling the people that don't experience the pain. It's about telling the people that experience the pain it's okay to hurt, but it's about finding those people that you can reach out to, that are your rocks, and finding those reasons to stay here, because there's so many people that love you and want you to stay here, and it's about helping those people as well.
You're so right. It's about the support network, because I know that mental health and suicide particularly, its biggest weapon against you is to make you feel alone and cut off from everyone. And I can see that is how it works. So what are you hoping to achieve with the raising awareness? So, you know, you've had some personal experience as well. What does that gives you that passion to really lean into the suicide awareness?
Well, not only unfortunately have I had those personal experience with people in my life, but I understand the feeling of being that low. Now, I will say I've not ever attempted to take my own life, but I understand the feeling of being in that place of going, this just hurts so much. And it was actually my realization of the people around me and the support network I had that sort of brought me out of that no turning back point before I hit the no turning back. And it's not to say obviously you can't turn back, but it's the feeling of no turning back, I should say. And I still not the right words, I'm trying to correct myself now. It's the feeling of you have nowhere else to go. That's the feeling. And I brought myself out of it right before I hit that point because of the support network I had. And so I understand those feelings. I'm not just someone coming in here going, I've been around it, I get it. It's about me saying, I get it. Yeah. I really, obviously it's a different experience for everyone. There's some similarities, but everyone has their own reasons of feeling the way they do and their own life experiences. But I understand that feeling of this just hurts too much. And it's so tough. I mean, the word is, it's difficult. It's hard because it's almost easier to pick that way out at that point, because journeys and healing is so painful. Just like if you have a physical wound, it takes time to heal, and but emotional wounds, because you can't see them, it's harder to process through. So I think my goal, I would say, is to remove the stigma behind asking for help. And that's the whole thing for me, is saying it's okay to not be okay, because we don't just have to be happy-go-lucky all the time. We don't have to have great lives all the time. And also I think it's saying, just because you might think you have a great life doesn't make it any less just for you to be feeling like crap. Because we can wake up days where we go, well, I have a nice house, I'm in a warm bed, I have a family around me, but I don't feel good today. It's not about invalidating those feelings for ourselves. It's saying my feelings are very valid. Sure, if you want to put a scale with everyone's feelings, that's not fair. You can't do that. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Sure, they're fruit, you can't compare them. It's like comparing a lemon and an orange. One's sour and one's not. It's something you can't do. And for me, it's about taking the stigma away from asking for help, and for saying, actually, no, I do need help. I don't feel good, and I'm going to ask for help right now, even if it's just someone to give me a hug, even if it's just someone to talk to me. And I think it's also saying that therapy has a stigma behind it, and talking to mental health professionals, because you don't always get good people. I will say that, but it's about finding the person that's right for you, that can help you, because there are people that know how to deal with those feelings you're feeling, and you're not alone in it. It's like, you are not alone. You're far from it, actually, at that point.
You've answered that so very, very well. And it also links back to what you were saying about you want to be there as somebody for your friends.
Yeah.
And it's not always about having the punchline advice. Sometimes it's just sitting in the hole.
Yeah.
And being approachable, and I think you are very approachable, a lady. So I can see and I can feel that actually you would be able to hold safe space for somebody and give them that sort of that breathing space, which is so necessary.
And that's something I hope I can do. I was with someone the other day, and we were just chatting. I was at their house, and they were really struggling under a lot of stress. And it wasn't any abnormal stress, but they put a lot of pressure on themselves. And so it was a lot, is what I'm saying. And they sat with me, and they had their head on my lap, and they were just crying. And it was something I hadn't seen for a long time, because it was that moment that I'd gone, okay, what does this person need? Because you almost have to think of it from that perspective. It's not going, what do I need to do to make me comfortable? It's going, okay, what do they need right now? Because crying makes some people uncomfortable. For me, it doesn't. I'm an emotional, I cry if I have an emotion. That's for me how I express it. And this person was crying, and I just said, it's okay. It's going to be okay. We are going to figure it out. It's going to take time. Let's start little by little, but it's okay. Because for me, that's one of the things that I find relief in. If I'm not feeling good and someone just gives me a hug and says, it's going to be okay, it's just that thought of that little glimmer of hope. It's not saying, oh, you're fine. It's not saying, I'll help you figure it out. It's just saying, whatever happens, it's going to be okay. It might take time, but it's going to be okay. And so I was just with that person, and I hope, and I like to think I did, I gave them that space to just feel the feelings, because sometimes the stress can be overwhelming.
I think what you were saying there is for me, it makes perfectly good sense. And so And I think you've got a real good feel for that area. So I can very easily see why suicide awareness is such an important thing, and the skills of which you can also help and bring
Yes.
to that. So excellent stuff. Going to move now on to one of your sort of your aha, your unplugged moment, which suddenly made you think, tink, this is so me. So tell us about one of your aha moments.
In life?
You can go wherever you like.
Oh. Well, I've had about 5 already this year. My life has changed a lot this year. I used the analogy of a snow globe. And then I said, and then someone decided to set the snow globe on fire and throw it in a bucket of acid. So I feel like that's kind of how some of these months of this year has felt. But nonetheless, it was a snow globe being shaken, and it really dislodged everything in my life. And there were moments where I just went, well, this is not fun. This is crap. This is really crap. And so I think my aha moments were the moments I realized how to come out of that. Oh, this is crap. Because it was those moments where I went, sure, these situations suck. Actually, what I'm thinking of is I actually went through a breakup earlier this year, and it was definitely tough. It was made easier by the fact that we were never public on social media, so it meant I didn't have to explain to anyone that I didn't know. I could just kind of deal with it in private. But I went through a breakup, and it was very painful. We were together for a long time, and so one of those aha moments were coming out of that. I went, I'm never going to regret the relationship. I'm never going to regret this journey I've now gone on, but the actual process of the breakup sucked. And so my aha moment was going, even though it sucked, I'm in such a better place now. And I say this now because this was 6-7 months ago now. And I knew that I was going to get to this place, but even 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I wasn't in that place. And you have to go through that journey to feel it. So I'd say one of my aha moments was kind of when I went, oh, it did suck, but look at all this good stuff I got out of it. And I say to people, look, after the breakup, I got a new job. I got an apartment. I went to see some family and had a really fantastic summer. And I now have a new boyfriend we've been together for 3 months now. We just celebrated our 3 months together, and he's fantastic and sweet and kind. And I look at that and I go, if the breakup hadn't happened, I wouldn't have ever met him.
Yeah.
Because we weren't friends before, we just met because of the dating process. And I go, I will never regret that. No matter how much pain I had to go through to get to that, I'm never going to regret that. So I had some big aha moments this year about going through pain. Unfortunately, I had to go through the pain to have those aha moments, but I had them nonetheless.
You can't get those stripes any other way than actually going straight through the heart of it. And we all know, because we all have our various pains, if we could take the exit, we would, but we don't. We actually stay and we go through it, and then the lessons which seem to just fall in afterwards. And you're right, it's unfortunately a never-ending process, but I love the fact that you are being able to show that whatever somebody may be facing at the moment, there is something on the other side.
Because when you're down, the only way is up. That's the way I like to think about it, because it's so true. When you're at the lowest point, you can't go any lower. The only way is up from there. And even if it's little step by it's baby steps, it's about getting to that place. And it's not saying that you're not going to have days where you dip a little bit, because it's not just a straight line up. It's not that easy. If it was, it would be great. It's not that simple. You have to really keep pushing the boulder up the hill, as it were. But just know that even though there are days where the boulder might push you further back down, you're going to be able to get it to the top, because with every push you get stronger. It's every fall you get stronger, you get better grip, and you try a different way, and you try again. And it's also about saying there's not one way to get to the top. Try some different ways. Maybe one way didn't work in the past. It's saying, okay, maybe I've tried to talk to a therapist, but that didn't work, so I'm just going to talk to some friends instead, see if that works. And I think it's about saying, you have to go through those difficult moments to get to the other side, but there's no way of getting to the other side unless you go through those moments.
No, you have to be able to solve those problems on the fly. And that's where you start to pick up the real sort of goodies from everything.
Yeah.
What a wonderful transformation you've had from something which was, I think most people can relate to that type of journey. So super helpful. Thank you so much for that.
Of course. And there's actually a quote that someone said to me the other day that I just remembered. And I will say I'm not a particularly religious person, but I'm very spiritual. So replace the word God with whoever that is for you when listening to this quote. But it's the quote is, God gives the hardest battles to the strongest warriors.
Oh yeah.
And it sucks sometimes because it's like, you know what? I don't want to have the hardest battles, but it's nice to go, okay, I wouldn't be given anything by the universe, the whatever that is, whoever that is out there, if I couldn't handle it. Yeah. It's like when you go to the gym, you don't go and pick up a weight you can't lift. You pick one up that's slightly harder, but you can still do it. It's the same concept in life.
I think you're right. There's so many other comments that come from that where, you're only given what you can handle, and you have to go, and we keep saying there is no substitute for experience. And this is something which we're all students of life, and if you don't pay attention, you go to the back of the class, you have to do the same lesson again, and that kind of sucks because it takes longer. Yes. But I love that, and I love the quote as well, because my next question was going to be, have you got any quotes? But I really like that one. I mean, it's so. That's just something you can actually just mutter to yourself as you're going through the pain, and that works. I love it.
And I also think there's something so important as well to say to people, it's going to be difficult. There are those days where you go, like I said, I don't want to have the hard battles. Why is this so tough? Damn it, this is difficult. And it's okay to have those days. Just because I feel like I'm up here right now doesn't mean I don't have the days where I go, okay, let's go, let's get out of bed, let's go to work, let's push through the day. And I think having something to hold yourself accountable is great, even if it's okay, once a day I know I'm going to meet this friend for coffee. That gives you a reason to get out of bed. And it can be something as simple as, I'm dog sitting, I have to go and feed the dog. Often people will say that their pets brought them out of depression because it gives them a reason to still be there. That dog, that animal, that cat, that fish depends on you, and you have to be there for them. And I think there's something so beautiful about that, because even if you don't have an animal, find something else that gives you a reason to get out of bed. Even on the days where you felt you were good yesterday and now you just feel a bit find a reason to get out of bed.
Well, it's a pull motivation rather than a push.
Exactly.
The pull ones are, you can't push a rope, but you can pull a rope. So no, I love it. Now this may actually, because you'll see how I'm going to twist this cleverly in now.
Okay.
What is one of your favorite songs, and why?
Just to listen to, or that I've written?
It doesn't matter. Is there a song that sort of came to you and you can't get out of your head, or is there one which you always go back to?
So this song, I'll say it's in the newer recent months of my life. I'd probably say around September I heard this song for the first time, and it's called The Fixer. It's by an artist called Brent Morgan, and it is a song that gives me goosebumps. And I laughed when I first heard it, because he kind of called me out in this song, because it's a song about someone who tries to fix other people, or enjoys fixing and helping to fix. It's not saying that that's a bad thing, but it's talking about those types of people. And I see myself as someone that helps other people fix themselves versus me actually doing the fixing, but it was a similar concept. And in the song, one of the lyrics is fixers never fix themselves. And it makes me laugh, because I went, well, you didn't have to call me out like that. I'm trying. And it was just the moment of the line is, she's a fixer with no one to fix her. She's a lover who won't love herself. She's a letdown away from a horrible day, because fixers never fix themselves. That's the first verse, I think, if I got those words right. And it's so powerful, because you go, okay, well, why did you have to make this?
Exactly. It's like, stop
I feel
already.
like, exactly, there's a part of that song that's for everyone, even if you see yourself as a fixer or a helper or whatever that is. And so I'd say that's one of my favorite songs at the moment. Oh, and the other song is I Guess I'm in Love by, oh my gosh, what's his name? last name's Kane. Hang on, I follow him on Instagram. Is it Clint Kane? But it's a song called I Guess I'm in Love, and I think the lyrics are so powerful because it's, darling, this is more than anything I've ever felt before. You're everything that I want, but I didn't think I'd find. Clinton Kane, that's his name. Yeah. And so those two songs, one is The Fixer by Brent Morgan and I Guess I'm in Love by Clinton Kane.
I love it. I love it. The two very different things, but actually, we'll worry about the psychology of it later, because I know
exactly.
If anyone's following me on that, you can talk to Isabella a bit later.
Exactly.
She'll love it. She'll love the chat. So 100%. What are you working on at the moment?
Well, as Isabella, I'm working on a feature that I'm shooting next year with Mother and Daughter Entertainment, my production company that I have with my mum. We're working on that. That's actually a horror. I can't say too much about it because it's still sort of under wraps, but that's the gist of it. So I will be leading in that. I'll be a lead actress. So that's one thing I'm working on. I'm filming something in January. I just booked something that's also secretive, but working in January. And then as Isabella Director of Development, I have 8 projects lined up for next year. So it's a lot of films that we're developing, but it's constant work. And I mean, I love what I do, so it's okay.
I'm just having to hold on to something here because that's amazing. And you know, I must admit, I love the fact that it's secretive. I mean, that must be actually. I'd love to tell you, but I can't. It's
tough because you go, okay, who can you actually tell? Then you go, then does that person go, oh well, you can't tell anyone, and then does that person go, oh well, you can't tell anyone, and then it's just an endless loop. So you have to figure out who you actually discuss things with. It's easier to tell someone with the memory of a goldfish.
I'm going to be first in the queue on that one. I even look like goldfish, so it's even better. Where can we get hold of you? Because you've been so open and so sort of great advice. You promised at the beginning that the great advice, and I think you've lived up to that. Where can we find you?
I'm glad I lived up to the advice. Well, I'm on pretty much all social media, everything from LinkedIn to Instagram. Instagram is probably my most frequented social media platform, and I do check my DMs, even if it's people I don't follow. I'll just kind of skim through them and look for messages. So that is a great way to message me. And I always say to people, if you've sent me something important in DMs, comment on one of my photos to say you've done that, and then I can check, because I read through all my comments as well. So that's a great way. The comments is a great way as well. There's a contact button on my Instagram that goes to a team member of mine, but I always get the email. So that's another way. I'm pretty accessible. If people look, it's not too hard to get hold of me because I'm someone that I like talking to people. And I'm also not in a place where I have 3 million followers and I have to be filtering through that many messages. So I'm able to kind of read and go through and meet people, which I love.
We're on the ground floor, ladies and gentlemen. This will not continue like this. I know there will be millions. So now take advantage. Exactly. Take advantage while you can. Isabel, thank you so much for taking some time. Such a breath of fresh air, and I thank you for being the fresh air and the light. And a really good member of the AwareNow family, supporting a very important cause, which unfortunately I think is going to become more and more relevant as we move forward from this. So if anyone is having any problems, please reach out. Please do not feel you're alone. There's always somebody there for you. And
I will say as well, because I don't know, I should know the number off by heart and I will learn it, but the suicide hotline, and I'm a big believer in saying this number because not everyone does know it, because it's not something easy to remember, but it's 800-273-8255. And it's available 24 hours a day. And please take it seriously. If you're having these thoughts as well, it's not about dismissing them, it's about taking them seriously before they bloom into something bigger. And I also say to people, even if I'm not a qualified professional, but if you ever want someone to just vent to, please reach out to me. There are a few of my followers that actually watched the live panel I did last year with Jenny and Ali, and we spoke, and I had a few people reach out to me after that and go, hey, I just wanted to vent to you. Is that okay? And I said, 100%. Yeah. And so I give advice where I can. I mean, my number one advice, because a lot of my fans are younger than me, is I'll say, have you spoken to your parents? Because a lot of the time your parents want to know these things, yeah, and they're more qualified to tell you what to do than I am. I'm here to listen, and I can give the best advice from my experiences, but at the end of the day, it's about finding those people that really know you and are able to help you. But like I said, the suicide hotline is 24 hours a day, and it's okay to reach out to people. It doesn't make you weak. If anything, it makes you stronger.
I love it. What a wonderful way to finish up the episode. Thank you so much. I'm going to follow your career with huge interest, and I can't wait to see you on screens and hear your albums. A wonderful moment, and thank you very much. Did you have fun?
I did. I had a lot of fun.
There you go. That's all you need.
I'm not sweating, so that's a good sign.
Well, with the sweatometer is low, I think that's a success. That's good.
Yes, it definitely is. I can guarantee it.
Well, look, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching and meeting yet another one of the AwareNow ambassadors. Stay tuned for future programs to meet the rest of the ambassadors. Until now, take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for now.